Hi, my name is Tekla. I live and cook full-time in my 1992 Fleetwood Bounder motorhome, and this is my kitchen. I really enjoy cooking, and when we still lived in a brick-and-mortar home, I did a lot of it. Since moving into the RV full-time, that hasn't changed at all. We still cook most of our meals at home, and I still really enjoy experimenting with different recipes. So I would probably consider this to be the most important space in the RV. I thought that other home cooks might be interested in seeing what it's like to cook in a kitchen this small and just generally what an RV kitchen is like. Starting with the basics, we have a double basin sink that's probably about half the size of what you would find in a house, but that's still plenty of space for our needs. It also comes with a built-in filtered drinking water spigot, which is such a nice feature, especially since the quality of the water we fill up our RV with varies a lot from location to location. As you can see, unlike the sink, the counter space is pretty tiny. I can fit a cutting board and a bowl or two, but not much more, so food prep needs to be done very efficiently. Right above the sink and counter space are a couple of cabinets where we keep our cups and bowls in addition to some other things we use every day. We keep our cups wrapped in socks because if we don't, it sounds like a million pieces of shattering glass every single time we drive down the road. So in terms of size, if you include this walkway and the full dinette area as well as the full kitchen area, that's about 56 square feet total. If you strictly measure the kitchen just from the edge of the fridge to the edge of the sink, that's about 11 square feet total. Considering that the entire interior space of the RV is less than 300 square feet, I would say that's pretty good. Everything in the kitchen, all the fixtures, all the appliances are original to the RV, so that means that just like the RV, they are over 30 years old. Considering that fact, I think they work pretty amazingly well. Everything works as intended, and I think they look pretty good too. So I want to start by talking about our oven, because this was on the top of our list of nice to haves when we were shopping for a motorhome. And I'm really glad that we ended up with a motorhome that has a residential style oven. A lot of motorhomes, especially more modern ones, will have a combination convection oven microwave rather than a residential style gas or propane oven. I have previously lived in an apartment that had one of those combination oven microwaves, and I just knew that I would definitely prefer to have a more residential style oven. It's definitely been a good choice for us. We use it all the time, and at least for me, it gives it a much more home-like feel when cooking. This oven operates very similarly to a conventional home gas oven. The main difference is that for safety reasons, the pilot light doesn't run continuously when not in use. To start the oven, you have to turn the oven knob to pilot on position. Then when you press the knob in, you light the pilot light using a grill lighter. Once you've done that, you just set the baking temperature on the knob, and it works pretty much the same as a residential oven from there on out. This oven does have its limitations, though. I would say that the main difference between this oven and a regular home oven is the size. A regular residential oven will generally accommodate a standard half-size baking sheet, while this oven will only accommodate a standard quarter-size baking sheet. I haven't found the small size very limiting, though. I've made cookies, cakes, quick breads, muffins, pies, lasagnas, and more in here, and cook time and quality is about the same as a home oven. The only issue I encountered with this oven, which was at the very beginning, was burning food. I think that's a pretty common issue with these RV ovens because the interior is so much smaller than a home oven, which means that the food is a lot closer to the flame at the bottom of the oven that heats the oven. The first thing I ever made in this oven was a frozen pizza, and let's just say that it was not edible. The solution is pretty simple. I always bake with the rack in the highest position, which solves 90% of the issue. For things that need to be in the oven for a long time, like cakes, or for things that are prone to burning, like pizza, I flip a sheet pan upside down and bake on top of that, which helps disperse the heat a little better, sort of on the same principle as a pizza stone. Moving on to the stove, it is on top of the oven, just like in a residential kitchen setup. The only difference is that it has this metal cover on top of the burners, which you put down when traveling. And I think the idea is also that you could use this as additional food prep space when you're not cooking on the burners. But to be honest, I never really use this as food prep space. I just always leave it folded up when I'm not traveling because it's just easier that way. So like I said, you just fold this up and here are the burners. As you can see, it's a 4-burner cooktop, which is the same setup that I had before we moved into the RV, and I really like it. The only real difference between this stove and a residential stove is that I use a grill light to light the burners. It does have a pilot light, but I prefer not to have a little flame running constantly in the RV, especially when we're not there. And I would say that this cooktop is probably about 2/3 to 3/4 the size of a regular 4-burner residential cooktop. So, there's not really space to use all 4 unless you're using pretty small pots and pans. But what's great about it is it gives me enough space to use 2 large residential sized pots or pans at the same time. So I can have a pot of pasta and a 12-inch frying pan cooking at the same time, and I have enough space to cook and move around, which is really nice. Right above the stove and below the microwave is this secret little compartment that I actually didn't discover until we've been living in the RV for about a month, and it's perfect for keeping the grill lighters that I need for cooking. The microwave is by Magic Chef. I don't think I mentioned it, but the oven and the stove are also by Magic Chef. And when we first got this RV, I remember thinking that was pretty cool because those were brands that I'd had in apartments before. And I thought it was sort of nice that they were a home brand and they were also in an RV. So this microwave is really cool. I love the faux wood paneling on it. There's a lot of faux wood and real wood throughout the RV, and I think it gives it a really cool retro vibe. Another thing that's kind of retro about it, the entire operation of the microwave is mechanical. It's not digital at all. Most modern microwaves will have digital input on them, but this entirely operates using knobs. So there's a knob here that you can select the time. You can select up to 35 minutes, and the selector for heat goes from high to low. I will say that the food really only heats on high, but I have discovered that if you use the low setting, you can soften butter for baking, which is pretty nice. So this is the fridge and the freezer, and they're by Dometic, which I'm pretty sure is an RV only brand. Unlike Magic Chef, I think this is just in motorhomes and other RVs. It has this really cool wood paneling as well. I think this is actually real wood. It's a veneer, so it's not just a faux wood paneling. And I just think it looks so cool. In terms of size, I think that this is probably about 2/3 the size of a residential fridge, which works perfectly for us. We can store about 2 weeks worth of food in here. And considering that we boondock most of the time and we usually try to stay at a single location for about 2 weeks, that's perfect. Like most RV fridges, this is an absorption fridge, not a compressor fridge, which is the kind of fridge that most homes will have. This fridge can run on either propane or electric, which is really nice. Most of the time we boondock, which means we're not hooked up to electric, and so we run it on propane. But if we are hooked up to electric, then we can run it on electric, which is great. So one great thing about this RV is that it has a ton of storage space, and that includes food storage. One really awesome feature is this pantry, which holds a ton of food. We can probably get about a month out of this, along with all the basics it holds. And it also has these really great spice drawers, which is important because I need all my spices. One of the most difficult things to keep organized in this RV, and I found this to be the case when I was living in an apartment as well, are pots and pans. One nice feature that this RV does have is this little cabinet underneath the oven, and I can keep all my pans here as well as a few different baking dishes. We also use about half of our above head cabinet space to store pots, bowls, Tupperware, more food, you name it. Honestly, we probably use more storage space for cooking implements than anything else in the RV. And that's before we even get into kitchen appliances. I mostly keep those in this secret storage space beneath the dinette. When we first moved into our RV, kitchen appliances were the hardest thing for me to narrow down. These are all essentials for me, especially the mini bread maker. It's pretty awesome to have fresh bread when you're an hour away from the nearest store. I think that pretty much sums up this kitchen tour. If you have any questions about our tiny kitchen or RV cooking or anything else, you can leave them below in the comments, and thank you for watching.